Greetings everybody, hello and welcome along once again to the F4 Middle East Championship 2025, certified by FIA. We have got ourselves ready in time now for the fourth weekend of the championship, and we're here on the Yas Marina circuit. It's going to be an interesting qualifying session, first thing in the morning really here at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. 88% humidity today, so could be an interesting one if the weather does decide to change hands over the course of the day. A lot more cloud cover and a lot of strong winds in the area could give us some interesting weather over the course of proceedings. It's just gone 8:30 in the morning here in Yas Marina. In 10 minutes time, the cars will head out onto the starting grid ready for their first qualifying session. It's going to be an interesting challenge for all the drivers as they prepare for the excitement of timed qualifying. And the battle for pole position is of course going to be a very interesting one, with the drivers venturing out onto the circuit for an exciting task ahead of them. The battle for pole position and the 2 bonus points that go with it will be a fascinating challenge right up at the sharp end. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson here with you as we get ourselves underway for the start of qualifying. It'll be a very exciting battle for the 2 pole positions for race 1 and race 3 that we will have over the course of the sessions. And it'll be fascinating to see which drivers are going to be in the fight for pole position. At the moment, this season has been nothing but one-way traffic for Emanuele Olivieri. And I have to say, the Italian really has come out of the blocks fighting fit this season with an immense amount of pressure on him, but has somehow been able to find an incredible amount of pace. Do please send your comments and your questions in. We've got plenty to talk about over the course of our 2 timed qualifying sessions. All the drivers and all the teams gearing up, ready for the start of the 15-minute session that will kick us off for Q1. So these first few minutes of the broadcast will give us an opportunity to get some of your questions and your comments in, and we will get things started with a little bit of a look back over what has been happening over the previous 3 rounds of the championship. It's definitely been a very competitive season so far in the F4 Middle East Championship. We thought going in it was going to be a lot closer than it has ended up being, but the luck has not really been with Kia Nakamura Berta or the teammate to Emanuele Olivieri, Alex Powell. They've had all sorts of difficulties coming into the season, so it's been an interesting one as far as trying to get on top of things has been concerned. So we're now going into the 15-minute qualifying session with a lot of excitement and anticipation as to who is going to come forward. At Yas Marina, the first round of the championship, it was a pole position each way for Emanuele Olivieri and Alex Powell, but in both races, Alex Powell ended up having clutch issues, which kept him down the order in race 1 and knocked him off the top spot in race 2 as well. On both occasions, it was his teammate Emanuele Olivieri that took full advantage of the situation to grab the victories. Thomas Stolchemanis got the reverse grid race, with Kia Nakamura Berta setting the fastest lap in that one. 3 rookie winners from that first round as well: Salam Hana, Yuta Suzuki and Chi Zhenroy. So fascinating stuff. There is the man who then took the next 2 rookie victories, Alexander Bondarev, the young man from the Williams Racing Academy, who's also in the Prema team. He then got 2 rookie victories in a row on the corkscrew layout of the Yas Marina circuit, while the victories overall went to Emanuele Olivieri and August Reber. Then Olivieri got the job done in the 3rd race of the weekend as well to move into a very strong lead. Ever since then, it's been RHGP all the way, because Olivieri picked up the win in race 1 at Dubai, and then his teammate Alex Powell got the victories in both race 2 and race 3 to finally get his title assault on track. He's got a bit of ground to make up. He's currently 41 points behind Kia Nakamura Berta, with the championship leader Emanuele Olivieri an incredible 96 points ahead with 6 races to go. There is very much a potential for Emanuele Olivieri to wrap up the championship before we even get to Losail, which is an insane possibility. But with 94 points available from that last round of the championship, there is a potential for it to happen. If there's more bad luck over the course of this weekend for Kia Nakamura Berta and Alex Powell, it's not outside the realms of possibility. As it currently stands, Emanuele Olivieri has 231 points to Kia Nakamura Berta on 176, so the gap is 55. So all that Emanuele Olivieri needs to find from this round is a further 39 points more than his nearest challenger, Kia Nakamura Berta, and he could be champion before we even rock up to Qatar, which is an insane possibility when you consider how competitive the F4 Middle East Championship has been in its previous iteration as the F4 UAE Championship. 15 minutes go on the top of the gantry, and so we are almost ready to get underway. So, great to have your comments and your questions coming in. Lots of magnificent support from lots of places around the world. People tuning in from Jamaica, no doubt to watch their fantastic sensation, Alex Powell, going for what could be another pole position. Great to have everybody from Colombia tuning in for their young rookie talent. Salim Hanna, who is currently leading the rookie standings. I'll have a quick chat about that actually, because the rookie championship is the series within a series, and it is a three-man brawl for the rookie honours. Salim Hanna has 188 points, just 9 points more than Chijin Roy, who has scored points in every single race this year in the rookies, which is a very impressive achievement. And then Alexander Bondarev has 150 points in the rookie campaign. So that is looking good for those three to be in the top positions. There have been some other drivers to score rookie podiums, although only the winner gets to go to the overall podium. But of the other drivers in the rookie category to score podiums this year, Cole Hewitson, he managed to get the podium at Marina by finishing third behind Hanna and Chijin Roy. There are other podium scorers. Yuta Suzuki got the reverse grid victory in rookie class at Yas Marina ahead of David Kozma, and then of course in third was Chijin Roy. The other podium finishers this year are Kyohu Lee, who sadly is no longer competing in the championship. He only did the first 2 weekends at Yas Marina. And then there was another podium for both David Kozma and Cole Hewitson. The only other two drivers to score rookie podiums this year, other than the top three drivers in the standings, are Tahaha Siba, the youngest of the drivers in the field, or certainly one of the youngest drivers in the field. I think his brother Tamim might actually be younger as we look at the Qatari Motor and Motorcycle Federation team that will be making their debut at home in just over a week's time. And then the only other driver to have scored a podium in the rookie category is the British driver Emily Cotty, who not only grabbed third position in race 2 of the last event, but also managed to grab points overall. So very impressive indeed from the Super 1 Series Junior Rotax champion of 2024. Greetings as well from Miami by the look of it, and from South Africa, as everybody is looking forward to seeing their superstars put on a great showing. People watching from Ukraine as well, I notice, who are going to be cheering on Alexander Bondarev. And from Indianapolis, Patrick Giggy is cheering on Sebastian Weldon. I'm delighted to say that we have an interview with Sebastian Weldon, which will be in our race 3 build-up tomorrow. So you'll get to hear from Sebastian Weldon in full as he tells us about life in the world of the F4 Middle East Championship. That'll be in tomorrow's broadcast ahead of race number 3. Good to get your questions coming in as well. Sophia wants to know, what's my favourite part of commentating? It's very difficult to pinpoint one. I suppose the play-by-play of the race action itself, getting to know the drivers is a really important part of it. You get to learn the science of why these drivers and teams do what they do. So there's a lot going on all at once. I tend to describe commentating on these races, particularly out here in the Middle East, as a bit like spinning plates. If you've got 16 or 17 plates spinning on the go, one of them is the championship battle, one of them is the weather conditions, one of them is the tyre degradation, one of them is the practice session times that went the day before, another of them is the qualifying session and the grid positions. It's a really difficult one, but to quantify it, it is a little bit like spinning plates. We've also got people tuning in from Australia. Nathan from Wollongong in Australia. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I did give it my best shot, but plenty of reasons for the Australians to tune in because, of course, they've got Snappy Gilmore in the field. Seth Gilmore, the original saltwater croc in the championship. Williams supporter actually watching in from Perth. Much easier to pronounce. As the competitors in RSGP getting themselves ready, there's Alexander Sabinkov. We've also got a really nice treat for you in race 2 of tomorrow's broadcast, because we actually got an invitation from RSGP to go behind the scenes during their practice session yesterday. So we actually managed to go into the garage and onto the pit wall to explore what life is like for a driver during a practice session. So from the RSGP team, we actually got to see what an entire 1 hour session was like. We're going to bring you that feature tomorrow as well. So plenty of excitement for you to come, and hopefully to give you a little bit more of a flavour as to what it's like being in the garage. I know that obviously a lot of you watching at home would really dearly love to be here, so we wanted to try and bring you a little bit closer to that experience. So that is why we decided to take up their invitation. So we are just about a minute and a half away from the start of qualifying. Slight delay in the proceedings just to give everybody a little bit more time for the ease of the schedule. Looks like some of the teams read the original timetable, because the original timetable said we were due to go at 8:30 and the new version of the timetable is 8:40. So that's why there's been this 10-minute pause, but it gives us a chance to settle in, get ourselves a decent seat. But I tell you what, in F4 Middle East qualifying, you only need the edge in it. Lots of support and Ukrainian flags for Alexander Bondarev, the Bison, who's been able to charge his way through the field several times through the course of this year, and he's only got 6 races left in the championship to put on those great performances. Managed to have a fantastic evening with him and his driver coach, Kieran Vernon, earlier in the week. Really good to get their feedback on things and how they're enjoying life working together in the Middle East. Of course, Kieran Vernon used to be the driver coach for Luke Browning back in the day, so that's obviously going to bode well for Alexander Bondarev. Not only is he still part of the Williams Racing Academy, of which Luke Browning is, but Kieran's tutelage obviously took Luke Browning all the way to a Formula 1 free practice session with Williams last season, so that bodes very well indeed for Alexander Bondarev fans. He's got the right people in his camp. So we get the green light at the end of the pit lane and we are off to starters' orders then. 15 minutes start to tick down and the drivers venture out onto a rather cool Marina circuit. It's a little bit cloudy, there's a little bit of wind in the air as well, but those new tyres with the white stickers still on them will slowly become proper racing tyres within about a lap and a half once those stickers have been worn away. Drivers are preparing for an exciting charge for pole position once again. Great to see everybody tuning in from all over the world to watch these 2 15-minute sessions. Some of you have elected to stay up, some of you have decided to be really brave, set the alarm and put the kettle on in order to get yourself a nice cup of coffee or a nice cup of tea in the morning to get yourself into the mode. I myself, water all the way. It's the good stuff and it works. So under the W Hotel, the drivers will work their way. They've obviously done 2 test sessions yesterday, as well as a half-hour practice session, which happened at night yesterday, which is a bit of a difficult one because the 2 sessions the F4 drivers had were obviously 1 hour in duration, and then the official practice session happened last night under the cover of darkness, which is going to be a tricky one because it doesn't really bear a lot of relevance to what the circuit's like today. For any of the sessions that they'll have in either qualifying or the races, because all of the sessions from now until the end of the weekend are going to be in daylight. So their official practice session running in the night time, it really does give them a difficult task ahead of them now in terms of setup. So it will be an interesting one. So a few more questions coming in. Any other series that you'll cover this year, Jake? Well, we've got the F4 Southeast Asia coming later this year, of course, as part of Team Speed Canada. We'll also be covering various different races in the sports car world, such as the Shanghai 8 hours, the Sepang 12 hours in Malaysia next month, of course. That's a really exciting race to look forward to, and I will be there touching base, hopefully, at Kuala Lumpur itself. Wonderful city. Love going back to Malaysia every time. And it's only the first time of many this year. I'm actually going to be there next week for the first round of Miami X30 Asia, and that's going to be a really exciting karting season. If you want to see where these kids came from, then I urge you strongly to tune into it. It's some of the most exciting racing you're ever going to see in karting. These guys learn their trade, and it's fast and furious stuff. The pace of racing actually slows down a little bit once they jump into cars. Even though the speed increases, the pace of the racing and the scale of the circuits slows down a little bit. So the drivers have a little bit more time to think when they're in single-seaters than they ever do in karting. Great to see everybody's commitment to get up at various times in the day, and well done to Carl. Even when he was in school, he actually popped to the bathroom to hide and watch Formula Regional qualifying yesterday. A man after my own heart. If only they'd had social media and YouTube when I was in school, I probably would have done exactly the same thing. Hopefully the teacher didn't give you a ticking off. Hopefully they didn't find out. But as long as it's all crafty and it's all for legitimate reasons, good for you. Well done. So the drivers getting the tyres and brakes up to temperature. 11.5 minutes then going on the clock. And it's going to be a really exciting situation for all of the contenders as they try and get the fast times up. But It's going to be an interesting one for all of the contenders as we try and get those lap times up to scratch. So we'll see if the drivers are going to be racing for the pole position. Once again, it's going to be tough to know who's going to get the best of it. It's a tricky situation around this circuit. This is a track that definitely does punish drivers who haven't set the cars up correctly. So we're going to get to see how it all plays out for this first part of the session. Purple in the first couple of sectors. Well, Sebastian Weldon has actually gone fastest of all in Sector 1 with a 26.3, but I think they're still in warm-up phase. You can see for yourself the drivers are still weaving from side to side, trying to generate some heat into the tyres, so we're not really at full speed yet. As the drivers have always told me that these tyres, once you start pushing and going to the limit, you can only really find 2 laps, maybe 3 if you're really careful. Martin Molnar sets the pace, the initial banker of 2 minutes 9.072, but the circuit is going to be a lot faster than that by the time we get to it. Unfortunately, my timing screen seems to have decided to throw a temper tantrum at the start, so we're going to try and find a backup system. I do apologise. We'll try and get it working again, ready for at least the end of Q1. But there are the times on your screen, so I'll have to bear in mind that for the time being. Yuta Suzuki, for the argument's sake, goes top spot, having switched mid-season to the Axel GP team. Getting a little bit of tutelage last time out at Dubai Autodrome from Kamui Kobayashi. Sadly, he had to disappear for this weekend. He's obviously got a lot of commitments, being the in-house team manager at the Toyota Gazoo Racing Le Mans squad. But he wanted to pop in last week to wish well not only Yuta Suzuki in F4, but also Jin Nakamura in Formula Regional. Fu Yuhao going to the top spot for the moment in the XL car, but obviously these times are not really representative yet. We'll start to see the proper lap times very shortly indeed, as the drivers really start to set the pace. Very interesting point to note from Stephen Gunter, who was clearly watching the times in free practice. Alex Powell was the fastest in final free practice last night, so he clearly wants to take some points off his opponents. He's got a lot of points to make up on Emanuele Olivieri. If he stays that far behind him going into the round at Qatar, then he will not have a chance of taking the title. So he's got to try and take as many points off his Italian teammate as he possibly can. And there is a rather stark problem for the drivers in that Emanuele Olivieri has had all the good luck and everybody else has had bad luck, which means that Olivieri might end up becoming champion this weekend with the lead that he's built up. It's unlikely, because now Roberta and Alex Powell have found their feet and the racing gods seem to be smiling on them a bit more often. But you do get the sense that there is going to be an interesting challenge for the races this weekend. Both Kia Nakamura-Berta and Alex Powell know that this is their last chance to really show their hand and try and go for it. Right, the first lap time under 2 minutes comes in from Wang Ujie, the man who had that dramatic accident at Dubai in the first race of the weekend. I can tell you that Wang Ujie was perfectly okay in that accident. It looked very scary, and those who have seen some of the onboard footage that materialised on social media probably would have been rather terrified. But fortunately, the accident did not cause any injuries to anybody, either trackside or in cockpit. So very good indeed to see the incredible safety cells in these cars. August Raber now bangs in a 1:57.312, so the Yazhi driver going straight up to the top spot, lives on the Palm Jumeirah in the beautiful city of Dubai. Only a few blocks away, of course, is his teammate Adam Al-Asadi. Ironically enough, they both live in the same region of Dubai, so fascinating that the teammates could probably travel in together if they chose to, going to the Yazhi offices. Looking for purple sector times, and in sector 1 we found a 24.8, and that is from Adam Al-Asadi, ironically enough, so he is the quickest driver on track now. Adam Al-Asadi. Martin Molnar goes fastest of all in sector 2, so now the drivers are starting to build up to the lap times. We're going to be watching out for some fairly decent manoeuvres then at the start of the session. Alex Powell now up to 4th position, Emanuele Olivieri up to 5th in front of his teammate Emily Cotti, who is currently the leading rookie. We haven't seen anything yet from Salim Hanna, Yuta Suzuki or Chi-Jun Roy, or of course from Alexander Bondarev, who's still yet to strike. But across the line it won't be long. Alex Powell now goes fastest of all in Sector 1, 24.7. So here comes the Jamaican sensation, wanting to put on a good show. And he is currently making his way down the hill and along the back straight. So it'll be interesting to see. He's actually on the main straight of the Formula One circuit, I should point out. So he and his teammate Emanuele Olivieri very close together as Kia Nakamura-Berta goes top spot, 1:56.2. Now Adam Al-Azadi's gone quicker, 1:56.1 from Adam Al-Azadi. Brilliant lap as Adam Al-Azadi chases down Salim Hadda and goes quicker than both the Mumbai Falcons, in fact all three of them. So Nakamura-Berta second, Hadda third, Stoljamanis is fifth now because Weldon and Bondarev has shot up into the top five. Great work from the Ukrainian, quicker on his first lap than Thomas Stoljamanis. Brilliant work, but Adam Al-Azadi has gone top spot of all. Now we've still got to wait to see what Olivieri and Powell are going to do. Alex Powell fastest of all in Sector 1, Olivieri fastest of all in Sector 2, so expect them to go towards the top. Will they be able to displace Adam Al-Azadi? 1:55s could be possible here. We wait for them to work their way out of the chicane. They are coming off the final Turn 6, Turn 7 complex, and they'll be crossing the line any moment now. Olivieri will get there first, then Alex Powell. So who's going to cross the line ahead? Olivieri gets a 1:55.9. What about Powell? 1:56.0. So it's Olivieri, Powell and Al-Azadi at the time being. Well, the RSGP boys definitely going fast, first and second in Q1. Good opening gambit, but fastest of all in Sector 2 is the Latvian Thomas Stoljamanis, who is currently down in 8th position. Very good work from the drivers around them. Alexander Savinkov is in 9th place. Bader Al-Sulaiti is doing a great job, 1:57.0 from the Qatari. That is an excellent turn of speed from Bader Al-Sulaiti. Raber in 11th from Renaud Franco, then Martin Molnar and Cole Hewitson, Chechen Roy and Emily Cotti. As up again comes Sebastian Weldon, and Martin Molnar goes 7th, just quicker than Bondarev. Great work from the Hungarian. So Molnar goes in front of Bondarev. Looks like a mistake there from Salim Hadda going out of the chicane. Thomas Stoljamanis bangs in the pole, 1:55.76 from the Latvian. Excellent lap from Stoljamanis, quicker than the RSGP twins. Nakamura-Berta still P4, having now P4. He's only just displaced Adam Al-Azadi by a few hundredths of a second. Bondarev, a brilliant lap, 1:56.313, quicker than Salim Hadda, quicker than Weldon. Alexander Bondarev is now the leading rookie, as up to 10th place comes Arjun Chaheda in the last of the Mumbai Falcons, behind Martin Molnar. And up to 10th comes Rodriguez. So Rodriguez moves forward. Salim Hadda now goes P6. And Fuyu Hao has done a great lap there. So Fuyu Hao, the XL driver, 4,000ths of a second quicker than Bondarev. What a shuffle of the deck this is so far. Excellent work from the drivers in qualifying. So Stoljamanis is on the top spot. Olivieri second, then Powell, then Nakamura-Berta. August Raber pops up to 8th position, just in behind Sebastian Weldon. So some great work so far. But a 1:55.7 from Thomas Stoljamanis is mighty. Olivieri and Powell have come across the line, and neither of them have improved their position. Their last lap times were actually off the pace, so they're going to try and push for another one now. So fabulous stuff from Thomas Stoljamanis, the Latvian, clearly out to prove that he still has a decent car in him. Car number 12 has just had the last lap time deleted for track limits. So car number 12, that is of course the car of Adam Al-Azadi, although I don't think that lap time was actually an improvement, so I don't think it changes Al-Azadi's position. He is still in 5th, just in behind Nakamura-Berta, but Alex Powell's gone quickest of all in Sector 1. Adam Al-Azadi's gone quickest of all in Sector 2, so the young man from Dubai could be moving forward as Nakamura-Berta splits the two. Al-Azadi second! Al-Azadi quicker than Olivieri! Brilliant lap from Adam Al-Azadi. Onto the front row he goes, just a whisker. Olivieri immediately displaces him because it looks as though Al-Azadi's lap has been deleted. That is so unfortunate for Adam Al-Azadi. Looks as though he pushed just a little bit too hard and it's been deleted for track limits. So he's back down to 5th behind Powell. That is such a shame. That would have been a 1:55.8 and that would have been right up there for Adam Al-Azadi. So Stolgimanis, Olivieri, Nakamura, Berta, Powell, Alizadi and Bondarev. 156, 1-4, he goes quicker still. And the Bison, he's up to 6th position. Now it looks like he's not going to need to make much of a charge through the field. Good improvements elsewhere. Salim Hanna 7th from Weldon, Raber and Beideral Sulaiti's gone back up into 10th place. Ahead of Molnar, ahead of Fuyu Hao and ahead of Thiago Rodriguez. Little bit of a headache so far for Arjun Jaheda and Renault Franco. Both of them need to make some improvements as Kia Nakamura Berta moves out of the way of Thomas Stolgimanis. Olivieri goes top, 155.571. There's the big gun lap. Alex Powell goes third, 155.83. So Olivieri yet again finds the pace from nowhere. What has he done over the winter? He's found so much confidence, so much speed. It's great to see drivers basically take some time out over the winter, go away, rebuild and find their feet, because Emanuele Olivieri is rapid in 2025. It's not going to be long before the big guns in the academies start looking out for this boy. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Audi decide to pick him up. He is backed by his local Audi dealership, so if Audi want to have a young driver on the grid when they come into Formula 1 in 2026, they'd better get Olivieri's signature signed before someone else picks it up. Surely it'll only be a couple of months before either Mercedes or Red Bull or Ferrari or even Williams decide this kid is worth a look. So Olivieri, pole position is looking good for him with the time now ticking down to 0. Everybody's on their final flying lap as Olivieri goes fastest of all in Sector 1 again. Really starting to put on a show, and he's backed off in Sector 2 just to prove the point. Checkered flag is out, so Olivieri will not go quicker, but then again he doesn't need to. Thomas Stolgimanis sets a personal best in Sector 1, so he might get closer to Olivieri's time, but he's going to have to find another 2/10 nearly if he's going to beat Olivieri to pole position. A very competitive qualifying session here and a lot of big charges through the field. Bondarev P6, Chijin Roy's got himself back into P10 in front of Raber and Fuyu Hao. Good work from those two. Beideral Sulaiti, so impressed with the Qatari, looks really good this weekend in 13th ahead of Rodriguez, Franco and Hewitson. Emily Cotti doing better as well in 18th. Excellent work from Emanuele Olivieri as ever. He comes into the pits, he's done. Absolutely dominant lap, nearly 2/10 of a second quicker than Thomas Stolgimanis. Did a great job there for second. Alex Powell third, Kia Nakamura Berta fourth. So he's going to have to roll his sleeves up and make some overtaking moves. That's what we as fans want to see. It's what he as a driver didn't want to see. And for Adam Alizadi and Alexander Bondarev, top 6. Very good qualifying from both men. Really exciting performance then from our drivers in F4 Middle East. They've given us a great show for the first 15 minutes of qualifying, and now they've come back into the pits. They'll get a new set of tyres and they'll go straight back out for the second session. So the competitors getting themselves ready again then for the second session. Interesting questions coming in as the session comes to a close. We'll give you the provisional running positions of the drivers and then we'll answer some of those questions and come up with some of those comments, because I love getting the fans' take on it. So as the drivers come into the pits after the session, we'll now talk you through the runners and riders of the session. Emanuele Olivieri, pole position for the first race from Thomas Stolgimanis, then Alex Powell, Kia Nakamura Berta, Adam Alizadi and Alexander Bondarev, the leading rookie. Salim Hanna from Renault Franco, Alexander Savinkov and Sebastian Weldon, then Chijin Roy in 11th position, 12th place for August Raber, then Fuyu Hao in front of Beideral Sulaiti, Thiago Rodriguez and Cole Hewitson, Martin Molnar, Emily Cotti, Arjun Jaheda and David Kozma in front of Taha Hasiba and Abdullah Ayman Kamel. And then finishing up the grid, Yuta Suzuki having a difficult one from Seth Gilmore, Wang Ujur, Taha Hasiba, and then it is, Tamim Hasiba I should say, and then it is Farah Al-Yusuf at the back of the field. So the drivers making their way back into the pits after the session. A lot of questions coming in. Carl asks an interesting one. Would you go for having no one near you on track, or be near someone for slipstream? On this configuration of the circuit, Carl, I think a lot of people would choose to try and opt for the slipstream, because The longer straights here definitely makes for a very exciting challenge for the drivers, but with this being the Grand Prix circuit, the corkscrew cut the back straight by 1/3. So slipstream was not really the ultimate challenge on the corkscrew layout. On the Grand Prix layout, slipstream very much is important because the cars will be set up for straight line speed more than they will be for mechanical grip in the bends. So a slipstream is probably more important on this layout than it would have been on the corkscrew layout, for example. A lot of people praising Thomas Stolchemanis after his session. So underrated, says Alyssa Lalocca. You're absolutely right. A very, very talented competitor. Alice backing her up. Most underrated among the Prema drivers. He always seems to find that little bit of an edge when he's backed into a corner. When you think the others have got the edge on him, he always seems to find something extra. And Thomas Stolchemanis, on this occasion, the fastest of the Mumbai Falcons, ahead of his teammate Kia Nakamura-Berta. And he is here to prove that he's not just here to make up numbers for the team, he's got a very valuable performance in front of him. So Joshua Wilson wants to know, do they award points for pole position in F4 Middle East? They certainly do. 2 points for pole position for race 1 and race 3. No points are on offer for the race 2 pole position because, of course, that is determined by a reverse grid result of the end of race 1. Race 1, by the way, is going to be at 12:55 local time today. So either take away or add some hours onto your diaries to make it work. And of course, as soon as this session is over for the qualifying of the Formula 4 Middle East Championship, we head to the starting grid for the Formula Regional Middle East Championship Race 1. Very excited about how the battle between Evan Gilter and Freddie Slater is going to continue. And of course, we launched the new car in the course of last night, the new Gen 2. Which is going to be the Tartus F326. You can find a few details about it on the social media page for the Regional Middle East Championship. More on that story later in the day. So continuing to battle away as the drivers work their way forward. Oscar Regalado asks a very interesting question about tyres and the suppliers, GT Competition tyres. Are they a local brand? They are based out in Malaysia, of course, the GT Competition tyres. So they are one of the prime tyre manufacturers across Asia. And of course, that is the decision made, but partly because, of course, being in Asia, the logistic factors are much easier than shipping things out from Europe. But of course, also, it does add a different dimension, a different challenge to the competitors. If they all race on the same tyres in every championship, then that doesn't really help in terms of development as much as it would be having a different tyre supplier. So having different tyre brands for different championships definitely makes things different. And you're all there saying, yeah, but surely they're all the same round things with rubber on them. They surely don't have that much of a difference. You'd be surprised. The science and the manufacture of the compounds does make the tyre completely different. Drivers will talk about how the difference between the tyres in Europe compared to the GT tyres here in the Middle East Championship are completely different. It feels almost like driving a completely different racing car. And it's like when you have two different pairs of shoes that look exactly the same, but when you put them on your feet, they feel completely different because of the way that they're made up. So it's a very similar process. Into the second session we go then. Alice has woken up to support Kian and Prema. She's been an ancient Prema fan apparently. So she's just woken up from a nap. Well done. Perfect timing. And you'll get to watch them, of course, again as they battle under the Mumbai Falcons moniker in Formula Regional straight after qualifying too. I hope you haven't got much on this Saturday. So JRMB discusses an interesting point. Is the new points classification for this year a sneak peek on what to expect in F1? After all, it is rumoured. There are some rumours flying around, aren't there, that the Formula 1 circuit will only have will soon have points for the top 12 rather than merely points for the top 10. Our points system was taken into account that with more cars on the grid, it makes sense to have more point scorers in the championship because obviously in Formula 1 they only have 20 cars, whereas we have anywhere between 28 and 32 in the past couple of seasons. So with that many more cars in the grid, there's more incentive to score points if there are more points available. So that's the reason why we took the decision to have 12 points positions rather than 10. Whether Formula 1 chooses to look at it and adopt it, that's entirely up to them, of course. We don't set the standard for the championship other than for our own sort of things. course, the FIA will obviously support us in our decisions, and everything has to be certified by the FIA before it's approved. So with the championship hoping to give more cars on the grid more chances of points, we'll have to see. Because of course next year Formula 1 has 2 more cars on the grid with the 11th team. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. The official answer is I don't know. So it could be very interesting to see if they adopt the same system. But certainly our system was implemented to give more drivers a chance of scoring points. Now, Rob asks actually what he thinks may be a stupid question, but it's actually a really intelligent question. How much aero and suspension adjustment is getting done? There are slight tweaks that can be made, particularly on the end plates of cars, and slight angles of adjustment on the wings, just to make things a little bit easier to either generate more understeer or more oversteer. But there are only certain elements of the car that can be adjusted, and because of course everybody has exactly the same car, so there's certain regulations and certain parts that you can make adjustments to and some you can't. But there are some aerodynamic tweaks you can make, and there are some ride height tweaks of course that you can make as well with the suspension geometry. So there's only certain parameters the teams have to work within, but there is a little bit of flexibility with that. It's not a stupid question at all, Rob, and it's basically the difference that these drivers can find between winning and losing, and it does make a difference. Some of the setups on these cars can make a difference of anywhere between 3 and 7/10 of a second per lap. So it does make quite a difference, and a lot of it of course comes down to feel of the driver. There's no exact science. You see 2 or 3 drivers with very different driving styles. If they swapped cars with each other, they'd probably find it almost impossible to drive. But the cars have to be set up and suited to each individual driver. There's no one perfect setup. It's got to be what the driver feels most comfortable with. And you've got to remember as well, of course, that these cars are not very heavy. They're quite light. There's not a lot of power. There's not a lot of downforce, so they're quite nimble. And that means that you have to have a car that you can feel you can really push your own limits with. It's me swarming around the circuit. Got a little bit too close for comfort for a couple of drivers there. That almost looked like they were intentionally blocking. So more battles to come in this second qualifying session then. It'll be an interesting opportunity for the drivers. Robert wants to know, can you modify the car? How can Kramer, for example, be so fast year after year? Well, there's only one answer to that particular question. Experience. Kramer have been doing this for quite a long time now across the various categories, and they don't just do this championship, they do multiple championships. So when you take all of that data, you put it into the databases and you crunch the numbers, you'll learn pretty much what works and what doesn't work. You'll adjust things based on the tyre temperatures, the air temperatures, the circuit surface temperature. All these things can be correlated in a chart, and the science is really, really strong to see how it all continues and connects together. So fascinating to see how everybody adjusts and makes things work, but you're absolutely right to suggest that Kramer have the knack of being able to do this so well year upon year upon year, but a lot of it just comes down to experience. The more you do, the more knowledge you gain, and the more knowledge you gain, the faster you're going to go. So once again, the new sets of tyres for the second qualifying session. Everybody just starting to ramp up the mileage. Yuta Suzuki gives us our first lap under 2 minutes, so we're slowly getting to the point of no return with fast lap times. So let's see if anybody continues on the way. Great to see everybody tuning in from Latvia, from across America, from various parts of Europe. And well done to Ranmanot supporting Alex from Malaysia. So all the way from Kuala Lumpur, I'm guessing. I could be wrong. But great to see, and there is some Malaysian talent in the field, I should point out to you, Ranmanot, because Alistair Young is actually Farah Youssef's driver coach this season, so the Malaysian flag does have relevance in the F1 Middle East Championship. And of course, Alistair Young is the son of Alex Young, who is the team manager at Black Arts Racing, and of course, a former Formula 1 driver and representative for Malaysia in the A1 Grand Prix World Cup of Motorsport, a championship that I miss very, very dearly indeed. So everybody's starting to get themselves up to speed again. Just trying to bend the tyres in, looking for the lap times. We're starting to get a few of them under 2 minutes now, which is exactly what we need to be. Ramamont wants to know what are the qualifications to become a commentator. It sounds like a fun job. Unfortunately, there is no qualification. I wish there was. It would have been a lot easier to get in as a teenager. I had to wait till 25 for my first proper job in the industry. Quite a long time. But essentially, it's about experience, about passion, about giving yourself the chance to throw yourself into the mix. I should warn you that if you want to do it, you're going to spend at least the first 4 to 5 years of your career penniless, because that's exactly how I did it. But if you're passionate enough, and if you're good enough, enthusiastic enough, well-researched, you do your homework and you interact with as many drivers as possible, and you're prepared to spend 4 or 5 years basically eating on a sofa in a hostel at various points, or sleeping in the back of people's cars or whatever to get the jobs you need, then it is possible. Now we're starting to get some sector times run down that are properly quick. First sector is, it's matched at the moment. Alex Powell and Salim Hanna have set exactly the same fast sector time to the 1,000th of a second, and it is the session's best. Fastest of all in the second sector now is Kia Nakamura Berta. So here we go. We're starting to see some good lap times come down. They're on the back straight as well, so it's going to be any moment now that we're going to see the times tumble over the start-finish line. So the number 18 is going to come across the line first. That's Tammy Masiba. We'll go towards the top, but here comes the big one. It's going to be Emanuele Olivieri first, I do believe. It is 1:55.3. He sets the ball rolling. Stolgiamanis a 10th off now. Renaud Franco not far away from it. Thomas Stolgiamanis has been beaten, and so has Olivieri. Alex Powell goes top in the second session, so he bounces back in style. The Mercedes Junior from Jamaica. Of course, Jamaican roots, but he lives in Miami in Florida. Kia Nakamura Berta goes fourth, 1:55.5. Salim Hanna fifth for the moment from Martin Molnar, Renaud Franco, Bader El Sulaiti and Sebastian Weldon from Fuyuhao and Abdullah Ayman Kamel. There's going to be a few more decent times coming in. A few of the drivers have saved their best for later. But certainly the time to beat is Alex Powell, a 1:55.3, quicker than we saw in the previous session. So we're definitely starting to see some fast times from people as Alex Powell goes to the top. So in terms of the championship fight, it looks like it could be 2 points apiece, which will give Alex Powell fans a sigh of relief, because it means that Olivieri won't pull away in the championship. It'll stay the same gap at least until race 1 at 12:55 local time later this morning. So the drivers just getting themselves up to speed, working their magic. Hopefully we're going to see a really exciting battle for the pole position again. In the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds, there's going to be some decent lap times coming in. Stolgiamanis, personal best in sector 1, personal best in sector 2. Could be flirting with Olivieri's time. He's now making his way down the back straight, chasing after the number 18 of Tammy Masiba. Olivieri, by the way, has backed down, got himself closer in the mix to Alex Powell on the road. He wants to have a little bit of a dice with him on the lap times on the road as well as on the timesheets. Kia Nakamura Berta is just a couple of car lengths back from them as well, chasing down Martin Molnar, the Hungarian, on the track map. So there is Olivieri. If we look back, we'll just about make out Kia Nakamura Berta going through, but let's see if there's any changes. Stolgiamanis has got faster than Olivieri. He's gone into second place. So a good work from Stolgiamanis again to be the quickest of the Mumbai Falcons for the time being. Certainly looking strong at the moment. Is there going to be any big improvements in the top 6? Alazani's just off the top 6 behind Martin Molnar. Who's that going very slowly into turn 1? That's not particularly advisable, because that's on the racing line as well. You've got to be careful about that, as Alexander Bondarev now chops up into 7th position, just a whisker in front of Adam Alazani. Then Cosma Franco back into the top 10 again from Fuyuhao and Bader El Sulaiti. Then Tiago Rodriguez and Sebastian Weldon. There's Kia Nakamura Berta, trying to get himself back up to the pace once again. Alexander Bondarev got personal bests in all 3 sectors that time to go up into 7th place. What can Kia Nakamura Berta do? Faster than he has gone in sector 1 and comparable to Powell, quicker than Stolgiamanis in the first sector. So Nakamura Berta getting himself back into it once again, trying to fight for pole position. And there is his teammate Salim Hanna trying to do the same. 5th position at the moment, just under 3/10 of a second away from pole, but anything's possible if you get a clean lap. So that is August Raber getting out of the way of Kia Nakamura Berta. Sadly, he doesn't quite do so in time for Salim Hanna or Martin Molnar, who are 5th and 6th in the session so far, don't forget. Oh, that's Adam Alazadi getting out of the way. My apologies. So August Raber is a little further down the grid in the number 47. A minute and a half to go in the session. A lot of these guys are basically building up to one more flying lap. It looks to me as though they're all getting themselves ready for one. They've got to be careful they don't hit each other. Goodness me! That is the kind of shenanigans you see in racing, not in qualifying. That got so close for comfort between the RHGP twins and the Mumbai Falcons. They're all trying to build up for another qualifying lap, but they almost tripped over each other in the hairpin. This is qualifying, guys. Don't peak too soon, for goodness sake. So now they're racing each other for the apexes of the corners. They want to make sure that they're in front of each other. Well, fascinating stuff in the F4 Middle East Championship qualifying. This is about as roughhouse for track position as it's got all season long. You're not going to see any improvements from any of the drivers in that one. Although Emanuele Olivieri, interestingly enough, down in 3rd, got the fastest second sector of anybody in that lap. Interestingly, Alexander Savinkov has just gone 11th with the fastest first sector of anybody in the session. Wow. Talk about a scary moment in qualifying. That was a really tricky battle that we got there into the hairpin. We almost got a very nasty moment indeed. We just about avoided it. Car 51, 6th lap has been deleted for track limits at turn 5. That is Kia Nakamura Berta. Still P4, as off the road goes one of the XL cars in the W Hotel section. And checkered flag is out on the course. So checkered flag is out. They've now got to race to the line in the hope that they've got a decent lap time under their belts. Abdullah Ayman Kamel is the first one to see the checkered flag. All of the naughty boys and girls out on the circuit squabbling with each other in the playground have now got to scamper back to the line in the hope that they've given themselves enough track position and they don't have too much dirty air from the car in front that will prevent them from getting the lap time they need. But certainly not only has Alex Powell taken the pole position away from Emanuele Olivieri in the second session, but it looks as though Olivieri is going to be starting back in 3rd behind Stolgiamanis. So let's see if there's going to be any final changes to the positions. Waiting to see if there's any adjustments in the top 10. No personal improvements in sector 1 or 2 from anybody in the top 10 other than Adam Alazadi, as Breno Franco goes up into 8th position with his final flying lap. The Dutchman should be right up there then in the fight for the podium in race 3, I should say. But it looks to me as though it's going to be Alex Powell that holds on. Stolgiamanis doesn't improve, nor does Olivieri, nor does Nakamura Berta. So Alex Powell will be pole position, and he's the first one to come into the pits. So it's one each then for Powell and Olivieri. Bad news for Nakamura Berta because he loses points in the championship to both his RHGP rivals. But great news for Alex Powell as he gets a pole position for race number 3. Perfectly solid news for Emanuele Olivieri, who all he's got to do is just stay in the top 5 for the remaining races of the season, and the championship will be his. Absolutely phenomenal display from the drivers in F4 Middle East. But a really good battle for the pole position there. Alex Powell gets the job done, and despite all the pressure of all the drivers around him trying to take a lap or 2 away, it doesn't happen. So the Jamaican sensation, who is currently 3rd in the drivers' standings, don't forget, he's still got a few points to make up on Kia Nakamura Berta, but he has the same amount of points in the championship as Thomas Stolgiamanis coming into the weekend. Now he's got 2 more for pole position in race 3, so he now moves onto his own 3rd position in the championship, now at 137 points. So he's just 39 behind Kia Nakamura Berta. So here is the qualifying 2 that sets the grid for Tolaiti. Another good qualifying from the Qatari. Then Tiago Rodriguez and Sebastian Weldon from Cheech Roy and Cole Hewitson. Fuyu Hao slumps to 17th in front of Abdullah Ayman Kamel and Emily Cotti. Archer Chaheda, real struggle in that session, 20th. August Rader, even worse for him, ahead of Taha Hasiba. And then Seth Gilmore, Wang Ujie, then Yuta Suzuki, Tamim Hasiba and Farah Al-Youssef at the tail of the field. So two very exciting qualifying sessions then in the F4 Middle East Championship. We couldn't really have had a more intense battle for pole position if we tried, but it's one each for Emanuele Olivieri and Alex Powell. 2 points apiece. The championship continues to rock and roll, and the next action on circuit here at Yas Marina is going to be race 1 of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship for this weekend. The F4 drivers will be back out on circuit when the pit lane opens for them at 12:40 local time. But we're now going to dash down to the pits as the Formula Regional Middle East Championship battle between Evan Gilter of France and Freddie Slater of Great Britain is back on here at Yas Marina. See you in a bit.